Yuma Sakura passed through the subway ticket gate and, descending the dimly lit stairs, rummaged through his bag's pocket. He couldn't remember where he had lost them, his earbuds were nowhere to be found. It was already past 10 at night, and the platform was sparsely populated. A small sigh escaped his lips. He called the shop he had visited earlier in the day. The ringing reminded him of the late hour. Just as he was about to hang up, a voice answered, "Hello, this is Cafe Plain." They said they had his earbuds. When he mentioned he would come to pick them up tomorrow, they asked, "What time will you be coming?" He replied that it would be before noon. And they said, "In that case, I'll be here. This is Sota Fujino." Sakura introduced himself and ended the call. Yuma Sakura. Sota remembers the day that person first came to Plana, forgetting their earphones. It was a cold winter rain day. And the way they closed their umbrella, drenching their coat's shoulder, was beautiful, making music resonate in Sota's heart. That person asked for a recommended coffee. Their voice was low and sweet. "Today, I found something I had forgotten and ran outside the shop, but I was too late." After that, Sota kept polishing glasses long after closing the cafe. When the phone rang, I thought, "They've come. Tomorrow is Plana's regular day off." But Sota intentionally didn't say anything. Singing softly to himself in the empty cafe, he polished the remaining glasses. Sota baked brownies from the morning. Unlike usual, these were spicy, not sweet brownies. The shop filled with a fragrant aroma, and the warmth from the oven felt comforting. Sota opened his laptop behind the counter. The door, with a closed sign hanging, opened slightly, and the doorbell rang. "I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were closed." "And then," Sakura said. "No, I'm going to work anyway. More importantly, I baked brownies. I'm going to make some coffee, so would you like to taste them?" "I'm glad because I was planning to drink coffee." Sakura laughed. "I thought it might be too pushy, but it worked out well." Holding back a grin, I squeezed cream onto the brownies. "Oh, this is delicious. It seems like it would go well with alcohol too. Whether it's beer or wine." As he said this, Suda imagined drinking together. After that, Sakura rang the doorbell and returned to work. Along the riverside, small white and yellow flowers were scattered like confetti among the lush green grass. The cherry blossom season was just around the corner. After Suda finished locking up the planetarium, he received a message from his younger sister at home. Mom was hospitalized for taking too much medication. But she's okay now. It was a concise message. A business message with no expectations for Suda, who hasn't returned in years. Suda simply marked it as read and couldn't bring himself to reply. Walking along with the crowd heading to the station, he kept his emotions tightly sealed away. He was hit by a passing bicycle from behind, earning a sharp click of the tongue. "Are you okay?" With that voice, sound returned to Suda's world. "Sakura-san. Are you heading home now?" "I don't want to go home." Those words slipped out effortlessly, surprising even himself. Did something happen? I wondered what would happen if I said yes. "If you'd like, you can come over to my place?" Sakura said, "It's nearby." Under the softly blue sky, the streetlights flickered to life all at once. The room was on the 7th floor of an old apartment building in front of the station. Suda stepped through the door that Sakura held open. Behind them, the door closed with a soft thud. "Sakura-san," Suda said, still not having taken off his shoes. Sakura turned back to him. The distance between them was less than the length of a single shoe. As a lively family passed by behind the door, the room fell silent. During that moment, their eyes remained locked. Sakura moved closer, to a distance where only someone meant for kissing would stand. "Is it wrong?" "It's not wrong." Suda kissed him, drawn in like a clip to a magnet. Realizing the kiss was too long for a greeting, he pulled his lips away just a bit. Sakura's face was so close that Suda couldn't focus. Sakura cupped Suda's face with both hands, returning the kiss with tenderness. Sakurai loosened his tie and said, "Sit wherever you like." A room devoid of any unnecessary things. Suda sat down on the bed. "Would you like something to drink?" At the question, Suda shook his head slightly. "Is there something you can talk about?" Suda shook his head more clearly than before. Sakurai sat down next to Suda. Neither of them said anything anymore. Outside. It had already grown dark. And the neon lights of the mixed buildings in front of the station flickered red and blue through the thin curtains. Suda woke up early in the morning and slipped out of bed. Worries still lingered in his heart. He washed his face and opened the refrigerator. There was hardly anything inside, except for some beer. Suda left the apartment. The air of a summer morning at the beginning of the season. When he returned, Sakura was already awake. "Welcome back." "Good morning," Sakura said. "I brought breakfast," Suda replied. "Sandwiches, yogurt, and coffee from the convenience store." "Thank you. I don't have anything at home." They sat facing each other at the table. It was the first time they sat at the same table. Thinking about that made Suda unable to look at Sakura's face. He peeled back the film on the mixed sandwich. Sakura picked up the yogurt and said, "Are you feeling better now?" Suda nodded. "Can I call you Suda?" "And then," Sakurai said, continuing on. "Are you going home? Or do you want to go home and change?" "I'll go change." "Great, then we'll see each other again today." Sakurai reached out to touch Suda's hair. Suda. From that day on, Sakurai's room became the place Suda returned to. Early summer. It was the first time their days off coincided since Suda started coming to Sakurai's house. While brushing his teeth, Suda glanced at Sakurai's bookshelf. He casually pulled out a book that wasn't at the very end. It was a wooden photo frame. A woman with long hair and a little girl, about elementary school age, were posing peace signs in front of Cinderella Castle. "Sorry," Suda murmured, apologizing to the absent Sakurai for looking, before putting it back. It was probably a photo that had been displayed there until Suda started coming over. A notification popped up on his smartphone. Sakura, who went to get the car, arrived downstairs. In a hurry, he rinsed his mouth. After descending the emergency stairs from the 7th floor, he found the rental car parked. "Sorry," Suda said as he opened the door. "No?" Sakura replied, waiting until Suda fastened his seatbelt. They arrived at a port town where a shipyard used to be. Murals adorned the abandoned factory. And next to a neglected giant crane stood a modern art installation. Many people with the same map were walking around. "This place is interesting," he said. "It reminds me of when I painted oil paintings back in school," Sakura said. They were instructed to paint over the previous year's artwork instead of starting with a new canvas. At first, he didn't understand why they would do something so tedious. But as he painted, he realized that no matter how much he covered it up, the previous artwork influenced his own. Other people's art supported his from beneath. It was much more fascinating to create than on a blank canvas. "What about that painting?" "Someone painted over it. I would have liked to see it." They walked through the old port. On the pier, a family was sharing a single ice cream, taking turns to have a bite. "So, are you married, Sakurada?" Sakurada stopped in his tracks and looked at Suda. "I was, until 10 years ago." "I'm sorry, I saw a photo." No, it's my fault for not talking. Did I make you anxious? A little. But it's impossible to share everything. The museum, converted from an old shipyard, revealed a small patch of blue sky through its high windows. At the far end of the exhibition room, Suda paused in front of a painting titled Woman. The blue canvas was roughly layered with white, faded paint. Above it, a sharp curve of rose violet sliced through. The color of his mother's lipstick. Traitor, his mother had called her. Sakurada stood beside Suta. Woman, Sakurada said. Do you like both, Sakurada? Suta said, still facing the painting. Well, I did love my wife, but that alone wasn't enough. Sakurada replied, still gazing at the painting. They remained like that for a long time. What should I do to be forgiven? As Suta murmured to himself. It's not something that needs to be forgiven by someone else. Sakura's fingers brushed against Suta's left hand. And they intertwined their pinky fingers, careful not to be seen by anyone. Music flowed from the car radio on the way back. Tell me about the person in the photo, Suta said. My ex-wife is Mika, and my daughter is Mizuki. She's already 20. Huh? How old are you, Sakura-san? 39, Sakura replied. A child at 19? I was a prep school teacher. We separated when my daughter was 10, but I still see both of them. I talk about everything, so just listen. It's okay, Suta said simply, closing his eyes. The car was swallowed by the line of traffic. The radio sang, I'll fill the world with my lies. We've arrived. I wake up to Sakurai's voice. Sorry, I fell asleep in the passenger seat. No worries? I'll return the car, so go ahead and head inside. The car turns at the intersection. The rain that has started to fall begins to wet the asphalt. The rainy season has begun. Sakurai was born around the time his parents had given up on having children. So, while they were surprised by Sakurai's early marriage, they were delighted at the prospect of a grandchild. Although Mika had grown distant from her own family, she maintained a good relationship with Sakurai's parents. Thanks to them, Sakurai was able to graduate from university while raising a child. And Mika was able to pursue the job she desired. However, when Mizuki was 9 years old, both of them passed away in quick succession due to illness. That night, on the first anniversary of Sakurai's parents' passing, Mika sat across the table. Yuchan, I have something to discuss. Mika picked up the TV remote, ensuring their voices wouldn't reach her daughter sleeping in the next room. Sakurai understood what kind of conversation was about to begin. Mika and Sakurai met at a prep school. Sakurai had taken a year off and was aiming for a national university. Mika was an instructor for English and Japanese. Hayashi Hibiki also attended the same prep school. And they always studied together at McDonald's after classes. And then Hibiki confessed that he liked Mika. Mika-sensei is really amazing. Ah, Mika-sensei, I want to marry you. Hibiki's earnestness was endearing to Sakura. Knowing that Hibiki's love wouldn't be realized, Sakura could listen to him for as long as he wanted. There was no need to label his own feelings. The cherry blossom trees lining the prep school scattered red leaves. During this crucial time for students preparing for exams, Mika left the prep school. The rumor spread in no time. It was said that Mika was having an affair with another instructor who had a wife and children. And that the wife had come to the prep school to confront her and forced her to quit. The way Hibiki changed when he learned this was shocking. That's the worst. I'm so disappointed. That day, Hibiki went home early. Sakura stopped by McDonald's alone. Even with his earbuds in and his vocabulary book open, Sakura couldn't concentrate. He had said he liked her so much. Sakura didn't understand why that stirred something in his heart. Spotting Mika outside the window, Sakura left McDonald's. He called out, "Sensei." "Sensei, have you really quit?" "Yeah. I'm sorry. It's such an important time." Mika spoke in a way that was very much like a teacher. "Was everything you said really true?" To Sakura's question, Mika replied quietly, but clearly. "There are important things in the parts that remain unspoken." Her words reached something deep within Sakura. Mika looked straight at Sakura. Sakura thought Mika was beautiful. Mika said she was going to the prep school to pick up her things. Sakura said he would go with her, wondering what he was so attached to. The prep school was quiet. Mika communicated through the employee intercom and then disappeared beyond the door. In the meantime, Sakura took out his smartphone and sent a message to his mother saying he would be studying at Hibiki's house. Mika emerged carrying large paper bags in both hands and cradling a cardboard box. "I'll definitely be taking a taxi home. Sorry for keeping you so late, Sakura-kun. Please be careful on your way back." Cutting off Mika's attempt to sound like a teacher. "Is it not okay if I follow you? You're not a teacher anymore." I took the cardboard box from Mika's hands, which were twisted in a near tearful expression. "I'll carry it." The two of them got into the taxi that Sakura had hailed in silence. In the back seat, Sakura held Mika's hand. It was his first time holding a woman's hand. Inside the taxi, Mika kept her gaze forward. By the time Sakura carried the bags to Mika's room, it was already past midnight. The moon brightly illuminated the swiftly flowing clouds, creating a stunning scene. Both Mika and Sakura understood how ugly the world would speak of what was about to happen in this room. Sakura still didn't know what love was. Yet, he wanted to believe that it was something that couldn't be easily broken. Perhaps Mika felt the same way. Like two hands reaching for each other beneath the water. I don't know what to call it. It was fine even if I couldn't explain it to anyone. That was the first and last time Sakura held Mika. The day before the exam results were announced, Mika contacted me. She said she needed to talk and it was to inform me that she was 5 months pregnant. I had already decided to have the baby, so I didn't consult anyone. I kept it a secret until today so it wouldn't interfere with the exams. I plan to raise the child on my own, but you also have a choice. What do you want to do? When Sakura was asked that, she immediately replied, I want to get married. Why don't you think about it a little more? I learned from my teacher that it's better not to change from the first choice you made. Even if you struggle with the options. On the night after the memorial for Sakura's parents, Mika quietly said, how about we dissolve our marriage? I don't think the institution of marriage suits us. Let's live close and raise Mizuki together. Sakura swallowed the question of why. She thought there must be something important in what Miki chose not to say. I looked at Mizuki's sleeping room. That girl will be fine now. You have your place, and I have mine. I like you, Sakura said. I like you too. From now on, I'll always be on your side. Before living in Sakura's room, Suda had been in the owner's apartment of Plana. The owner was away for work for a long time, so he had been left there as a substitute. Even after leaving that room, he still came to water the houseplants and pick up the mail during Plana's days off. Most of Suda's belongings were now at Sakura's house. Suda touched the surfboard propped up at the entrance. This is definitely in the way, he thought. It's been over a month since I rolled into Sakura's place. If I could stay here for good, I want to take care of the rent and living expenses properly. When Suda got off the elevator on the 7th floor, there was a young woman in front of the apartment where they lived together. She wore a black mini skirt and heeled sandals. Next to her was a pink carry-on suitcase. Her eyeliner was drawn long and dark. She unlocked the door with practiced ease. When she turned back to face the suitcase, her eyes met Suda's, who was standing nearby. Worn-out t-shirt and shorts, with flip-flops on his feet. He was carrying supermarket plastic bags in both hands. Through the bags, a box of ice cream was visible. "Are you here for something?" she said. Yes, I'm Sota Fujino. I've been in your care, Sakura-san." Then Mizuki said, "Hello," with a blank expression. "Please come in, the ice cream will melt," while pulling up her carry-on suitcase. Excuse me," Sota said, as if entering someone else's home. Mizuki wandered around the room, saying oh. Sota was sweating nervously as he stuffed food into the refrigerator. The room was clearly marked by Sota's presence. Colorful sneakers lined up at the entrance. A logo cap tossed on the sofa, laundry on the balcony, and a citrus scent in the bathroom. Sota didn't know where he should be, even after he had nothing left to do in the kitchen. "Are you two dating?" Sota could only fidget helplessly. There was no way he could say he was dating his father. Mizuki entered the bedroom. "Oh," she said, grabbing a photo frame and walking over to Sota. She thrust the picture towards him. "You're totally dating, aren't you?" Mizuki looked at the frozen Sota and said, "It's okay, I know my dad is gay." She smiled brightly. After bombarding Sota with questions, Mizuki seemed completely relaxed. "Dad hasn't read my message at all. I texted him to stay over." Then, with a mischievous grin, she said, "I have a great idea, and in no time." She posed next to Sota, making a peace sign, and sent a selfie to Sakura. "Dad's going to be so surprised." After that, the two of them enjoyed soda-flavored ice cream together. "What do they call you, Mizuki-chan?" "Mom is Mimuka, Mimimamu. Friends are Sakura and Zuki. And Dad is only Mizuki." As she waved her pink-nailed index finger. "How about calling you Mizuki too, Sota?" "Matching names," she said. Sota thought to himself that he could never compete with this child. "Well, Sota works for me too," he replied. No. You can't just call your parents' boyfriend by his first name." Sota felt his heart swell. The fact that he was called a boyfriend. That he was treated with respect, and that Mizuki was smiling. Outside, the sound of the first cicadas of the year filled the air. "In the end, Gari-Gari-kun is the best ice cream," Mizuki said. As night fell, Sakura returned. The three of them enjoyed dinner while sipping on drinks. They also had the cake Sakura brought back. "Hey, what do you like about Dad?" "Huh?" When Sota didn't answer. "Dad likes soda," she declared. "Wow, I'm going to tell Mom." The room was filled with laughter. I felt happy and full. After taking a shower, Sota put on his glasses. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, he was looking at his smartphone. He was searching for a photo to post on his social media. Sakura took 2 beers out of the fridge and handed one to Sota. "Is this you, Sota?" "Yeah. It's from when I dressed up for Halloween. There's some editing, but it looks pretty good, right?" "Wow. Sakura-san, what kind of outfits do you like?" "I don't mind any clothes, but I really like Sota in glasses." "Why's that?" "You only wear them when you're just lounging at home, right? Is that your favorite look?" It makes me feel the most excited." "That's the worst. I love taking off those glasses. I'm busy right now." Sakura sat on the sofa behind Sota, pinning him between his knees. Sota leaned back and looked up at Sakura. In his eyes, there was the shadow of Sakura and the light of the room. "I love both busy Sota and lazy Sota." Are you aware that you're being a distraction? Not at all. I'm not getting anything done at all. Suda stood up and straddled Sakura's lap, facing him. Sakura happily took off Suda's glasses, saying, "Here, here." Suda's vision blurred. Suda cupped Sakura's face with both hands and said, "Sakura-san, I need to talk to you." In a situation like this? Suda fell silent. Sakura said seriously, "I'm sorry, but I will listen properly. You know, I was thinking I want to contribute some money, like for rent or living expenses." Sakurai had never considered asking Suda to help with living expenses. But that offer sounded like a promise of "you can stay here forever." I see. Then, should we look for a place that's a bit bigger? That voice was completely different from the one just moments ago. And those words sounded to Suda like a permission to stay as long as you want. Suda's reply of "yeah" was drowned out by a kiss. The beer was growing warm. The night melted into a golden hue. It was a day off for the cafe. And the autumn atmosphere began to mix with the afternoon sunlight. Suda finished entering the month's accounting software. It had been 4 years since Suda started coming to this shop. And 2 years since he began working as the manager. He had added new menu items and updated social media regularly. The weekend night cafe he started was doing well. He wanted to explore new suppliers for coffee beans. There were so many things he wanted to do. His smartphone on the table vibrated. It was a message notification from his sister, Natsum. Sweat began to bead in his palm. After taking a sip of his iced coffee, which was mostly just ice, he picked up his smartphone. "I received a lot of pears from my relatives. If you'd like, please send me your address." Suda hasn't informed his family where he lives. The only connection he has is through Line, and it's mostly Natsum who reaches out. Normally, he would reply, "Please enjoy the pears together." But since coming to Sakura's place and meeting Mizuki, he started to think differently at times. Could it be that he has been losing sight of his true mother all along? Just one word. A phrase directed at him from his mother. Had been something he believed was her true feelings all this time. But was that really all there was to his mother? "I can go pick them up right now." He boldly typed that out. Then he sent a stamp of a jellyfish swaying with the message, "Thank you." Almost immediately, it was read. And he received a message with a surprised panda saying, "I'm waiting," along with an added panda saying, "Okay." Suda closed his laptop and stood up. As the bus swayed, he rested his forehead against the window and closed his eyes. Suda's mother had started taking sleeping pills since he was in high school. As the amount gradually increased, there were several times when Soda took too many pills and had to be taken to the hospital by ambulance before he left home. "I had always worried about my mother." Even so, Soda couldn't go back. He thought that if he returned, his mother's condition would only worsen. Since he was little, he had lived with his mother, just the two of them. It was when Soda was in his first year of middle school and Natsum was in the 5th grade that his mother remarried to his current father, suddenly making them a family of 4. From long ago, Soda's mother had doted on him. Even while working hard, she always prioritized Soda above all else. That never changed after her remarriage. With the addition of a new family, Soda could no longer openly rely on his mother as he used to. It felt embarrassing when she tried to take care of him in front of his sister. What must his sister have thought of their mother, who treated them differently? He found it difficult to communicate well with both his mother and sister. And so, without hardly speaking to his family, he became a high school student. In the summer of his first year of high school, Sota began learning to surf from a senior at his part-time job. He was thrown off the surfboard and tossed around by the waves. Transparent bubbles rose and danced around Sota. Light streamed in from the surface of the water. Under the sea, he forgot everything and felt at peace. This is my place. Sota was captivated. Every weekend, late at night, he loaded his surfboard into his senpai's car and headed to the sea. Sitting on a driftwood log, he ate a sandwich he bought at the convenience store. He took refuge in the car when a sudden downpour hit. Riding the waves in the rain-cleared sea until sunset, watching the sun sink into the ocean. The inside of Senpai's car smelled of citrus. On his left ankle, there was a crescent moon tattoo. Are you going out again in the middle of the night? Enough already. Ignoring his mother's voice, Sota continued to pack his backpack with a bath towel and swimwear. It's strange to go out every single week, don't you think? Are you even listening? Sota couldn't understand what was so wrong about it. Turn this way. Sota's mother shouted hysterically. Honestly, getting a tattoo like that. Can't you tell the difference between what's right and wrong? Sota ignored her and kept packing. Then his mother stomped her foot. Isn't that strange? I pressed closer, enunciating each syllable. A small comet on my left ankle. Sota couldn't understand what was so wrong. Why? Then, my sister Natsum, who had been fed up with the exchange, blurted out. He likes guys, doesn't he? He's gay. Sota was left speechless by the sudden revelation. His face turned pale in an instant. Is that true? My mother widened her eyes, trembling with rage. And then she spat out, traitor. The bus came to a stop. I thanked the driver and stepped down. I climbed the gentle slope lined with flowering dogwood trees and rang the intercom at the house marked Nishikura. Even after my mother remarried, Sota hadn't changed his last name. Yes, came the reply, and after a moment, the door opened. My sister was holding a heavy paper bag in both hands. This is a pear, Natsum said. After a brief hesitation. But, do you want to come in for a bit? Mom is here too. She turned her back while still holding the paper bag. The scent of my childhood home was just as I remembered it, even after 8 years. When Sota entered the room, his mother set down the half-read paperback on the dining table and took off her reading glasses. Welcome home. I'm back. As Sota pulled out the chair across from his mother, he asked, what are you reading? A mystery novel. It's really interesting. His mother squinted her eyes. This chair had always been Sota's spot. Naturally, he took a seat there. I'll peel the pear, Natsum said. I'll be right there, Sota replied. The pear was refreshing, sweet, and juicy. It's delicious, my mother said. Natsum, who had come to see me off at the entrance, said, come visit again. Lately, Mom has been a lot more settled. Yeah. I'm sorry too. I haven't done anything. When Sota said this, Natsum replied, will you listen to my confession? And began walking with him toward the bus stop. When Natsum was in 5th grade, the idea of getting a new big brother was both unsettling and exciting. After all, in her favorite shoujo manga, the protagonist often fell in love with a sudden new housemate. In reality, her new big brother, who was 2 years older, was an astonishingly beautiful boy. He had long eyelashes, light-colored eyes, and silky hair. Natsum thought this was her first love. But it seemed like her big brother had no interest in her at all. My brother, who seemed completely indifferent to me, gradually started to irritate me. And it made me regret it. Saying something like that. I realized it was a terrible thing during a gender studies class at university. For the first time, I understood how much my words had hurt my brother. I did something bad to you and Mom, Natsum said. A person walking 2 Shiba Inu passed by the two of them. Suda looked at Natsum and smiled a little. Did you really like me, Natsum? That's exactly what I mean. Natsum laughed and playfully hit Suda's back, then spoke sincerely, I'm really sorry. Looking back, I think Mom had a lot going on too. Her son was going through a rebellious phase. She suddenly had a daughter, and Dad was always working. To Suda, Natsum seemed quite mature. A bus could be seen in the distance. Come to the store again. Together. With that, Suda adjusted the paper bag in his arms once more. Thank you, Nashi. The bus arrived. The evening cicadas were singing. Suda thought that he wished Sakura liked pears too. While peeling a pear for Sakura, Suda said, I shouldn't have kissed you with such force from the very beginning. When was that? From the very start. I mean, there should have been more steps, more teasing. The thrill of getting to the kiss is what makes love exciting. He handed over a piece of pear. You said you didn't want to go home, Suda reminded him. Sakura said this while taking a bite of the pear. Well, there were a few things going on with me too. Oh really? So, are we going to do it now? Teasing? Kissing. Suda ignored Sakurai's words and handed him another slice of pear. Remember when you said my voice just seemed to come out of nowhere? Suda took a bite of the pear while saying. When did that start? Aren't you going to kiss me? Since I got here? Who knows? Was it when you forgot your headphones? It was when Suda slipped his tongue in. Suda looked at Sakurai with an exasperated expression. Do you really want to kiss that badly? Yeah. Suda supported himself on the table with one hand holding the pear and knife. Leaning over to kiss across the table. There you go. Huh? I wanted something with more passion. The two laughed and took another bite of the pear. Sakura-san. In the morning, as Sakura was shaving, Suda called out to him. It looks like I can take a day off next week on the holiday. With Sakura working at a company and Suda at a cafe, their days off rarely aligned. This was a hard one-day off that Suda had managed to arrange around his part-time shifts. Ah, next week. Sakura replied. Oh, do you have plans? Suda tried to keep his disappointment from showing. Yeah, sorry. I have a prior engagement. But I want to adjust it, so let's talk again tonight. Don't push yourself. If it doesn't work out, I'll make other plans. Could you hold off on making plans, if possible? Suda saw Sakura off at the entrance as he hurriedly put on his tie and headed out to work. I'm off. After seeing Sakura off, Suda hung up the laundry and lightly vacuumed the living room before heading to the planetarium. That night, Sakura said, about that day off I mentioned this morning. In fact, it's the day when Mizuki will have her coming-of-age ceremony next year. And they're going to take photos in her furisude. Since it's a special occasion, the three of them had planned to go out for a meal afterward. I contacted the other party today. If Soda is okay with it, how about joining us? Huh? No, I wouldn't want to intrude on that. Of course, I'm not saying you have to. But Mizuki would surely be happy. After that, Sakura said earnestly. I want to take proper photos with Soda. Soda felt happy about that. So he made a small resolution and said. Then I guess I need to buy a suit before that. By the time Mizuki and Mika finished getting ready at the photo studio, Sakura and Soda appeared in their suits. Are you family? You look great together. The photographer said. Today, Mizuki is wearing the furisuit that Mika wore long ago. Watching the girl pose according to the photographer's instructions, both Sakura and Mika felt a deep sense of nostalgia. I didn't take photos for my coming-of-age ceremony, Sota said. To which Sakura replied, me neither. Mika added, you have to take photos when you can. I also missed my chance to take wedding dress photos, she said wistfully. While watching Sota and Mizuki playfully tease each other, Mika and Sakura chatted. What do you think? It's tough. What do you mean? It looks fun. It's scary. The youth. Are you talking about me? Well, I get it. 19-year-old Yuchan was even scarier. Mika, you're young. Shut up. Mika laughs. By the way, I found this. Mika hands Sakurako a clear file. Inside, there's an essay written by Mizuki. My family, 4th grade, class 3, Mizuki Sakura. My dad and mom broke up, and my dad went to another house. I really didn't like it because I love my dad. I thought our family was close, but maybe it wasn't. But it's okay because that's not the case. Dad comes to our house often. When he comes, he gets along better with mom than before. Sometimes they even kiss. We all eat dinner together, watch TV, and then Dad goes back to his house. When I asked Mom, why? Dad is so gentle that I end up being a bit too spoiled, so this is just right. That's what she said. I don't understand it all. But I was glad that if I fought with Mom, I could go to Dad's house. How much will you pay for it? You can't put a price on this. Then I'll give it to you. It's the best, right? Sakura was delighted with the gift that said I'm glad. At the same time, her heart ached for her young daughter, who couldn't help but seek confirmation from an adult third party about what was good. After that, they took pictures of the three of them as a family, as well as a group photo that included Suda. And finally, Mika said, you're going to take a picture just the two of you, right? Then Mizuki said, wait a minute, and brought over a bouquet for the photo shoot. Here, hold this, she said, pushing the two of them in front of the camera, while adjusting Suda's tie. Sakura whispered so that Mika and Mizuki couldn't hear, you look good. They stood side by side with a bouquet of white roses in the center, watching the two of them get their pictures taken over and over. The mother and daughter held hands and giggled, saying how cool they looked. Noticing their flushed faces, the photographer asked, is it hot? After that, we had a late lunch at the Chinese restaurant we had reserved. Sakura went to settle the bill while Mizuki headed to the restroom, leaving Mika and Suda at the table. Thank you for inviting me today. No, thank you for coming. It feels like our family has grown, and I'm so happy. Suda hesitated over his words. So, what's he like? He's really kind. I can tell. He's incredibly kind. Sometimes I still wonder if I deserve that kind of kindness. Mizuki returned. What are you talking about? We were saying how cool Dad is. That's definitely a lie. Mizuki laughed. Sakura came back. What are you talking about? Huh? Dad is cool, right? That's such a lie. Sakura laughed too. It's not a lie, Suda thought. Sakura-sen is cool. And kind. Really, really kind. Do I deserve that kindness? You're in a good mood. Sakura said to Suda, who was washing the dishes. Why? When you're in a good mood, you sing that song. Was I singing something just now? It's the theme song from an old anime. It's a little different, though. Saying that, Sakura hummed a few phrases. You're right. It is a little different. Suda laughed and continued to sing, still out of tune. Sakura laughed and sang along. His voice was infinitely sweeter than when he spoke, and Suda found himself entranced. Sakura hardly sang at all. So, it made him the happiest when he sang like that. When the typhoon warning was issued, Sakura went home early. Suda also took the day off from work and stayed home. Suda brewed coffee for the two of them. Outside, the storm raged. And it wasn't even evening yet. The only sounds were the grinding of the manual mill and the steam rising from the kettle. Suda. What is it? Suda replied slowly as he poured the hot water. Sakura didn't really have anything to say. He simply thought that he didn't need any more luxury than this. Sakura's job often required him to be out and about. Recently, searching for an apartment to live in with Suda while walking through the city had become Sakura's secret pleasure. That it's wider and has a better view than now. That there's a proper kitchen. That there's plenty of storage in the entrance for Hayata's many shoes. I think about such things. That day, one appointment was cancelled. Sakura walked home instead of taking the train. As he walked along the riverside promenade, the autumn leaves filled the bright thicket with a variety of colors. After a while, he came to a bridge, and at its foot stood a stylish apartment building. In front of the entrance, there was a sign that read "For sale" and "Available for viewing." Just as Sakura was about to stop, a salesman came out from the apartment and tried to take down the sign. Seeing Sakura in front of it, he said, "You can view it now." The room felt oddly nostalgic, and it was easy to imagine living here together. From the balcony, there was a spacious view of the river. You could see contrails crisscrossing the autumn sky. The night view is beautiful too. The salesman pointed to the cluster of buildings across the river. Sakura thought as he walked. Even though it was a bit far from the station, that promenade continued all the way to the cafe near Hayata's place. Let's have Hayata help me choose the furniture. I'm not really particular about those kinds of things. The bag contained information about the apartment. I wonder what kind of expression Hayata would have if I told him, "I have good news." The sun set, and the wind grew cold. On my way home, I bought a small bouquet of flowers. The joy of choosing flowers for someone else made Sakura feel a bit warmer despite the chill. While Sakura was viewing the apartment, Hayata was at a family restaurant. "I have good news," the owner said as he spread out the materials on the table. Mizabata, the owner, was ambitious and caring, almost like a benefactor to Hayata. The news was about a new cafe that was set to open. They planned to renovate an entire retro building that was constructed before the war. Hayata looked at the photos spread out on the table. A Western-style mansion that looked like it came straight out of a foreign picture book. The large windows were adorned with arch decorations. And the old glass had bubbles trapped within it. So cool. Isn't it amazing? It's right in front of the station, and the street has these lovely rows of plane trees. Mizabata said he wanted to open it by next summer. And then, I was thinking of leaving everything from the interior design to the opening to you. Fujino-kun. Where is it located? The place Mizabata mentioned was somewhere I couldn't recognize at first. I would understand once I looked it up. It said it would take 7 hours by car. Suda's body suddenly felt cold. It's rural, but Fujino-kun will definitely love it. While putting the documents into an envelope, Mizabata said, "The ocean is really close by. It's apparently famous among surfers." The ocean. Think about it, Mizabata said as he handed over the documents. "I'm going to sell the planet by the end of the year," and he stood up. Suda felt the world spinning around him, unable to stand up. The thin coffee from the drink bar had long since cooled, starting to leave a circular stain in the cup. Suda pulled out the documents once more, his fingertips trembling. Someday, in a place where I can see the ocean, I want my own cafe. The project proposal submitted to the bank. Location. Current status diagrams and photos, financial plan, and the projected design of the cafe. Suda flipped through the documents, the same question rising in his mind dozens of times. What should I do? What should I do, Sakura-san? As I turned the pages, I realized I was searching for reasons not to go. No matter how much I searched, the future of being in that place kept appearing in my mind. Another part of me calmly looked down and said, "You will definitely go." The last page had a note that read, "Reference material, top 100 sunsets." The sea dyed in sunset hues. A small figure holding a surfboard. What should I do, Sakura-san? Even as Soda pressed his hands against his mouth, he couldn't hold back his sobs. That day, Soda returned home late. Around 1 in the morning, Soda quietly opened the door. In the dark room, flowers in a glass glowed softly under the dim light. Chocolate-colored gerbera and eucalyptus. Beneath the glass was a pearlescent card. To Soda. He traced the letters. Soda stood frozen, unable to enter Sakura's sleeping room. On a distant summer day, caught in a fierce downpour, I hurried into the car with my senior. The moment the door closed, a thunderclap roared, and everything turned white. Whoa, this is bad. Rain cascaded down the windshield like a waterfall. Drops of water dripped from my soaked hair. My senior tossed a bag of chips my way. I took a sip of the soda from the plastic bottle. The senpai quickly kissed Suda's lips, holding a soda in his right hand and chips in his left. A light kiss, as bubbly as the carbonation, with the taste of the sea and chips. Huh? Huh? The two looked at each other and laughed. I was surprised, but it didn't feel bad at all. After that, they played music in the car, singing while munching on chips. Playfully, they turned the parts of the lyrics they didn't know into silly parodies. The rain stopped, and they returned to the sea, surfboards in hand. One amazing wave after another rolled in. Until the sunset, which seemed like a lie after the rain, eventually faded away. The kiss the senpai gave me when he dropped me off was completely different from the one in the daytime. When Sakura woke up, there was no sign of Suda in the bedroom. Stepping out of the room, he found Suda asleep, face down on the table. Sakura called out his name while wrapping his fingers in Suda's hair. Suta. Suta. On the table, Suda awakens. For a moment, he doesn't know where he is. Noticing Sakura beside him, he hurriedly stands up. The sudden movement causes the vase of flowers on the table to wobble. The dream sensation is too vivid. Suda roughly wipes his lips. The blood drains from his head. Why am I dreaming about my senpai? Suda? When Sakura reaches out to him, Suda instinctively steps back. His lips tremble, and he can't breathe. Tears spill from his eyes, swollen from crying all night. Suda weakly collapses back down to the spot. Sakurai, what should I do? The calm side of Suda looked down from above. Sakurai gazed at Suda. Then, holding his breath like he was catching a butterfly, he knelt down. Suda was sitting on the wooden floor. Sakurai sat next to Suda, looking over the proposal for the new cafe. Suda, still turning his face away from Sakurai, spoke in fragmented words. How grateful he was to the owner for everything so far. That plana would be handed over to someone else by the end of the year. That he might be entrusted with the launch of the new cafe. And that place was so far away. After reading through the materials to the end, Sakurai neatly arranged them and set them aside in an envelope. Then, he looked at Suda. Suda couldn't lift his face. Suta. Listen. I touch Hayata's hair. I fix the bangs sticking to his forehead. I cradle his tear-streaked cheeks. Can you hear me? Faintly, Hayata nods. Sakura gently strokes Hayata's hair. I'm going to say something important, so listen closely. I speak slowly, word by word. Hayata. It's okay. I'll come to see you. No matter how hard I try not to cry, the tears spill over again. Another part of Hayata points a finger. Traitor. Hayata. Sakura calls his name in an even gentler voice. Sakura's outstretched fingertips brushed against Suta's ankle. Suta's body jolted slightly. Keeping his touch there, Sakura pulled Suta closer. This part of you is my favorite, Suta. Suta, my little comet. This is my favorite part. Sakura's voice resonated gently, more tenderly than any other sound. I could hear the pounding of Sakura's heart. Just the usual rhythm of his heartbeat. In a distant room, an alarm clock began to ring. Sakura-san. Thank you for the flowers, Sakura-san. Suta said, still sobbing softly in Sakura's arms. No. Sakurai held Suta tighter in his embrace. Suta would never come to understand the meaning of that little flower. Suta began attending driving school. He had no trouble with the practical driving lessons, but the theory part tormented him. At night, instead of watching TV, Sakurai read books while Suta studied. What is this? I don't get it. Suta said. Sakurai replied, there's a trick to this, and taught him how to distinguish the options. Green and orange highlighters danced across Suta's textbook. Sakurai no longer interrupted Suta, who was wearing glasses. It was a yearly occurrence for Sakurai to be busy with work at the end of the year. Overtime and business dinners seemed to stretch on endlessly. Christmas songs filled the streets. Sakurai had only one thing he could give to Suta. He wished he could wrap that gift in a ribbon. Soda was busy being soda. Plana was open until Christmas. And then there was preparation for the handover by the end of the year. One day, dressed in a newly tailored suit for a photo shoot, I headed out for a meeting at the new cafe. Once the new year passed, Soda would be leaving. In the corner of the living room, boxes packed with Soda's belongings were stacked up. It pained Sakura that Soda no longer laughed or sang. While doing the dishes for one, Sakura unconsciously began to sing. In the room without Soda, to Soda's off-key melody. On Christmas Day, there was a party at Plana. Staff who had worked there until now, along with friends of friends, all came together. A Christmas tree adorned with gold and silver. We toasted with sparkling wine again and again. We hugged various people and took Polaroid photos. We received an overwhelming number of gifts, from Christmas presents to farewell tokens. Soda returned close to 2 o'clock. Sakurai was already asleep. An empty beer can sat in the sink, untouched. I quietly entered the bedroom. The sound of Sakurai's breathing. If I could choose any paradise, I would choose this place, I thought with all my heart. But with the same certainty, Suta realized he would soon be leaving this place. Suta snuggled up next to Sakurai, seeking the sweet warmth. He tightly grasped the hem of Sakurai's t-shirt. Suta pulled his favorite memory close. Suta's pillow was rolling on the floor. He split one pillow in half and said, "Have you ever been told I love you, Sakurai-san?" I hear it quite often. Hear it? Sakurai playfully twirled his fingers around the area between Suta's eyebrows. From around here. Isn't it just your imagination? Really? That's too bad. Sakura gently closed his eyes. But, look. You can hear it. Suta said nothing in reply. Sakura, as if casting a spell, placed 2 fingers on Suta's brow. I love you. Suda tightly grasped the hem of Sakura's t-shirt. Over and over, again and again. Until morning came on that holy night. On January 1st, we went to our first shrine visit of the year. The approach was lined with lively food stalls. Amidst the crowd, the two of them held hands for just a few seconds. Cold, dry hands. Passing through the Vermilion Torii Gate, we join the long line for worship. Soda recalls what his mother told him when he was young. When you pray to the gods, don't ask for what you want to be fulfilled, instead say, I'll do this, so please watch over me. Slowly, the line for worship moves forward. Unsure of what to pray for, Soda shook the bell and pressed his hands together. A shrine maiden in a red hakama distributed sacred sake. They both raised the white cups to their lips. The faint scent of clear sake reminiscent of a wooden barrel. Although Sakura gently asked, "Shall we draw an omakuji?" I hated the sound of my own voice saying, no. Sakura's hand brushed against Soda's back. Soda thought he mustn't cry. They continued to walk through the winter streets, taking the long way around. That night they returned home, but it was still too early to sleep. Soda's luggage for tomorrow's departure was already packed by the entrance. The room they shared was quiet. Sakura had been touching Soda all along, yet their eyes never met. His skin, devoid of heat, felt so smooth. Suda was staring at the curtains in the room. After Suda came, Sakura replaced the thin curtains that let in the light. That was the only evidence that Suda had been in this room. Suda wanted a kiss. But he hated the thought of it lingering in his memory. He feared that all the countless sweet kisses they had shared would fade away. Sakura wanted to kiss him. Anywhere. But once it began, there would be an end to it. Still, eventually, the kiss would start. A kiss that he wanted yet didn't want felt like nothing more than the taste of lips and tongues. Snow fell late into the night. In the dark room, Suda let out a voice, "It hurts." Because Sakurai left a bite mark on my shoulder. After a barely audible "I'm sorry," I could sense Sakurai holding his breath. Suda strained his ears. He thought, perhaps Sakurai might be crying. Suda trembled with the joy of knowing he could break Sakurai. Unbeknownst to the two of them, the snow began to accumulate. The next morning, Suda said he didn't need to be seen off. Why not? Sakurai laughed. They walked in silence along the path to the station. The winter morning air chilled his chest with every breath. The snow from last night lingered in the fountain and the ornamental cabbage beds in front of the station. At the ticket gate, a young station attendant was repeatedly offering New Year's greetings. The two of them stopped just out of reach of each other's hands. Please, God, don't let today be bookmarked, Suda prayed. May this day be one of those beautiful winter mornings, sparkling with snow, for the two of them. I'm afraid that wish will shatter, so I can't bring myself to say, take care. Instead, I gazed at Sakura's shoelaces and said, well then. Suda thinks I will probably cry on the train after this. In fact, tears will spill the moment I turn my back on Sakura. So, I have to pass through the ticket gate without looking back, acting as if nothing is wrong. Then, Sakura quietly said, I have a favor to ask. Suda, who had been looking down, lifted his face. His skin was as white as porcelain. Call my name. My name? Suda was taken aback. Now? Those words echoed sadly, as if to say, is it too late now? Then Sakura smiled faintly and continued. From now on. A crowd of people disembarked from the train, passing through the ticket gate one after another. Yuma. Suda called that name for the first time. Thank you. Me too. Well then, Suda said, turning his back. Let's fill the world with the lie of from now on. Sakura came to this town in the season when cherry blossom petals fall. He said he wanted to see a new cafe. The shop, under construction at night, was eerily silent. Suda quietly guided Sakura with few words. The scent of fresh wood filled the air. On a workbench scattered with wood shavings, a design sketch featuring the shop's name lay spread out. Café Ramel. Sakura quietly called out that name. The bay window on the second floor was particularly large. The stone decorations felt cold to the touch. Standing by the window, there was Hayata's profile. During the day, you can see the ocean from here. He pointed to the invisible horizon. A moon that was far from full hung in the clear sky. That faint light cast the shadow of Hayata's eyelashes on his cheek. Your hair has grown. Sakura wrapped the ends of Hayata's hair around his finger. Hayata leaned against Sakura's chest and closed his eyes. I've missed you. His voice caught in his throat. Say you love me. I love you. How much? In his heart, Sakura answered that it would be fine if everything ended right now. To keep that from being spoken, he silenced Hayata's lips. The kiss that should have been sweet was bitter and painful. Sakura's hand slipped beneath my clothes, reaching my spine. Our breaths intertwined. The night in this city is silent. Beneath Sakura, exposed to the cold air pouring in through the open window. I thought that from now on. Every time I looked at this window, I would remember being pinned down like this. If Sota desired it, Sakura would come to see him as often as he wanted. However, Sota had little to say. Avoiding discussions about the beauty of the morning waves or the future of Ramel. You've gotten sunburned, Sakura said, narrowing his eyes. That only made it more painful. Sakura was endlessly gentle with Sota, who struggled to smile. Sakura quickly realized that his kindness was tormenting Sota. A quiet resignation settled deep within my chest. Sakura believed that this resignation was love. It was much later that he realized it was a deception. And so, Sota knew nothing of love beyond the longing to see him. The two walked along the long coastline. Hand in hand. The sea melted the sunset into a honeyed hue, lapping at their feet. Instead of asking, "How can you be so gentle?" Sota said, "It's beautiful." Not knowing how to avoid cornering Sota, Sakura smiled and replied, "Yes, it is." The pine trees on the small island across the way sharply cut the evening sky like a black lace silhouette. The sandy beach gave way to rocky terrain, and Sota released Sakura's hand to walk ahead. In the sea breeze, Sakura softly called out, "Sota." Though Sota heard her, he didn't turn back. He felt he shouldn't. Somewhere in his heart, Sakura felt a sense of relief that Sota didn't look back. If there was ever a moment she had tested him, it was only then. And later, she regretted that weakness of hers many sleepless nights. Even if they pieced together all the time they spent in this city, it wouldn't add up to 24 hours. For Ramel's first anniversary celebration, only flowers arrived. Sakura. On a no-overtime Wednesday, I was called out in the lobby of the office building. Hibiki. Can we grab a bite today? It was a reunion after more than 20 years since prep school. The two toasted with beer at a nearby izakaya. So? I have something to tell you, Sakurai. Actually, I'm getting married soon. Sakurai lowered the mug he had just lifted. No way. It's true. Hibiki scratched his head. I ran into him by chance not long ago. He called out to me first, saying, "Yasukuin." He hasn't changed at all. Then he said, "Yasukuin, you've become such a handsome adult." And that's when I fell. You're such a fool. I can picture it clearly. I've had quite a few drinks, thinking about you. That's just mean. It's all my grievances. Thank you for today. I couldn't reach out. It's fine. But in return, you have to play the piano at the reception. Piano? I haven't played at all. Besides, why would my ex-husband play the piano at the reception? You've been playing the piano all this time and ended up as a Ronin, right? Just play again. Hibby twirled the fried chicken he had speared with his chopsticks. I came here to say that today. Sakura remembered the time when Hibby was chatting away at McDonald's with a nugget in hand. You. Well then, that's settled. Hibby smiled, crinkling the corners of his eyes. The two raised their glasses in a toast once more. So from now on, we can drink with Hibby while enjoying Mika. What, you call her Mika? Isn't that different? Come on, I'm still calling her Ms. Mika, damn it. Sorry about that. What about you, how do you feel about it? Well, I'm technically in a long-distance situation. It's vague to say for now. Self-proclaimed. Well, since I feel sorry for you, I'll allow you to call me Mika. That person will never come again. Because I didn't look back. I hope you've forgotten about me. Because I'm trying to forget. Life here is enjoyable. Just like Ramel. The sea. The new people I meet. So, I hope that person forgets me too and sleeps well. I hope they can enjoy their meals. I hope they are smiling. I will forget too. Even after Suta stopped meeting with Sakura, he continued to follow Mizuki's social media. Posts filled with snapshots of street corners and food appeared on Instagram. It looked like a wedding reception in a splendid location. The camera zoomed in on the hands of a person sitting in front of a grand piano. It was tagged with Love's Dream Jasver. This hand. This finger. The heat of my body when touched. I know, Sota thought. The classical music begins softly, with an unexpectedly light arrangement. This piano. I can't help but smile. Far from forgetting, I didn't even know in the first place. Sota? Did you say something? My lover asks. It's nothing. Have you found someone else you like? I have. Have you kissed someone? I have. When I'm with that person, I think of you. How have you been? What are you doing right now? Whose coffee are you drinking? Do you still like potato salad? I found a movie I think you'd like. I wanted to watch it with you. Suda brews coffee with a lamel while talking to the imagined Sakura. You can play the piano, huh? You didn't know? No. Can you play something? I'll play Happy Birthday for you when your birthday comes. What about now? You'll have to wait. What? Why? Because I want a promise for something far in the future. In my imagination, Sakura is always gentle. Yet, Suda has forgotten Sakurai's voice. Even though he should remember every word, gesture, and quirk. All he could recall was that the voice was low and sweet. And he wished he could hear it sing again. Still, when he drifts off into thought, he can't help but feel I love you. And with that, his heart feels rough. Despite trying to forget, he longs for praise and recognition. Working tirelessly without distinguishing between work and rest. For Sakurai, it wasn't that he was waiting, believing, or forgetting. It was simply that if the world was as it was, there was no choice but to wake up, eat, do what needed to be done, and sleep. When they last met, both of them knew their happiness was coming to an end. Yet neither of them spoke of it, for to voice it would make it inevitable. Their lips never touched. He thought that if they did, it would surely be their last kiss. Thus, as they both carefully avoided various things, In the end, there was only that path left for them. For Sakurai. Even if Suda chose to leave his place for a new one, it didn't diminish Suda's existence in any way. He blamed himself for not knowing how to live in that place. While Suda's wings, capable of going anywhere, shone brightly. With every breath, Sakurai wished for Suda's happiness, and his blood flowed with thoughts of him. That's why he was always drained of energy. Yet, it wasn't unhappiness. Even if someone offered to erase Suda's memory, he would surely refuse with his life on the line. He received a familiar souvenir from someone in the city where Suda lived. "There's hardly any specialty around here," the person said. "But when I returned after a long time, I noticed many new shops. It's changed quite a bit." Sakurai replied. "This is delicious, isn't it?" And with that, the conversation ended. I didn't follow Soda on social media. While I wished for his happiness, I lacked the strength to confirm it. I felt ashamed of that cowardice. What I usually did in the shower as part of my routine became something I did at night in my sleepless bed, making my daily life feel increasingly lifeless and colorless. When I caught a whiff of citrus in the bustling crowd, I was afraid to look back. It was never Soda, and once again, I returned to my ordinary life. While I was killing time on a bench in front of the station building's monument, my phone rang. It was the same melody that Soda had once changed my ringtone to without asking. The man standing beside me answered the phone. "Stay there, I'm on my way." Sometimes I wonder what I would say if Soda asked, "What do you like about me?" If that happened, I would surely answer, "Your potato salad." Soda would probably make a face of disbelief and say, "Huh?" But the truth is, I really wanted to eat Soda's potato salad. Every time I went out to eat somewhere, it became a habit to order it. And each time, I thought that Soda's potato salad was the best. Soda had a dream. Somewhere in a fancy restaurant, he was having a meal with Sakura, Mizuki, and Mika. Soda spilled his drink, ruining the white tablecloth. He kept apologizing. I'm sorry, but no one seemed to notice, and they were all laughing together." As he watched, the table and floor became soaked. Soda woke up crying, but he couldn't remember what the dream was about. Sakura had a dream. A crowd has gathered on the sandy beach. From the sea, a limp figure is being pulled up, supported on either side. It's Suda. Suda is laid out on the sand. Wet hair is sticking to him, covered in sand. His weakly tilted face turns toward us. His pale lips are half open. Sakura stands there, frozen, without rushing over. Someone tries to wake Suda by slapping his cheek. Chest compressions and artificial respiration begin. A stranger covers Suda's mouth. The crowd continues to grow. Suda becomes obscured by the throng. A pair of people say, "Who is that?" "I don't know." Hearing that voice, Sakura turns away and walks off. He steps on the sand, turning his back to the sea. He wakes up 1 minute before the alarm goes off. He tidies up the bed. After washing his face and getting ready, he drinks just 1 glass of water before heading to work. Sakura won't forget that dream. Even if it was a nightmare, it was still Suda. When Mizuki heard that Suda had left, she was angry for a while. To the upset Mizuki, Mika says, "Compared to the happiness of meeting, the sadness of parting is nothing to worry about." Mizuki thought, perhaps this could be said about my father and mother as well. When Mizuki was little, she felt sad about her parents' separation. But as she grew older and began to understand the circumstances, she started to see her own birth as a miracle. Could it be that I'm a rare character? I didn't dislike the way I could think like that. Her true love had yet to come. However, she thought that once she fell in love, she wouldn't fear anything. Soda-san. when she heard a voice calling from afar and turned around. She saw 4 or 5 girls in sailor uniforms waving in front of the school gate. Sota waved back. They were local kids he sometimes taught surfing. On a rainy weekday, one of them came to Ramel without bringing any friends. Mandarin, the girl said. It's the coffee that Sakura likes. Sota always brewed it with more care than other coffees. The girl declined sugar and milk. After taking a sip, she clearly made a bitter face. Then, without looking at her phone, she gazed out the window, still sipping the coffee with a pained expression. Sota took a piece of a broken baked good. Here, if you'd like. I placed it on the plate and offered it. The boy looked troubled. Do you not like sweet things? I asked, and he shook his head. As I was leaving, he handed me a piece of paper. It's a simple questionnaire, so please fill it out by next time, he said as he left. It really was a simple questionnaire. Favorite type. 1. Beautiful type, cute type. 2. Cheerful person, quiet person. 3. Other conditions. 4. Someone I like, no one. Sota didn't know how to answer. But no matter which question he tried to consider, Sakura's face kept appearing in his mind. A 13-year age difference. Just about the same gap as with that boy, he thought. Sota imagined the boy's face as he drank the coffee with a bitter expression. 1. Neither. 2. Neither here nor there. 3. Nothing in particular. 4. I'm here. I thought, surely, I would end up hurting him. Hayakawa, a former subordinate from Sakurada's company, unusually approached me, saying he wanted to talk. I figured it was about the rumor that he was getting married soon. And indeed, that was the case. After chatting at an izakaya about his upcoming wedding in the spring, their new home, and their honeymoon in Vienna, we headed to a bar located in the basement for the second round. You've had quite a bit to drink, are you okay? There's something I can't say while sober. What is it? There's someone I absolutely can't marry, and I might actually like that person more. Boss. Our eyes locked for a good 10 seconds. I can't answer that, sorry. I thought so. I guess I really should get married. That's something you have to decide for yourself. I don't regret getting married, but it doesn't mean I didn't hurt anyone or wasn't hurt myself. Even if you cherish someone dearly, you can still hurt each other. But that doesn't mean you're unhappy. So, I can't hurt you, boss. Hayakawa is easy to understand. Hayakawa downed the remaining drink in one gulp and placed the glass firmly on the counter. Thank you. I've let it go. However, less than a month later, I got rejected. Did you say something to her? No, I had already resolved myself to live for her. Then suddenly, she said sorry. I just don't understand. Saying this, Sakurada hailed a taxi for the now drunk Hayakawa. Come on, get in. Hayakawa grabbed the collar of Sakurada's coat and said, You too. Then, in an unfamiliar room, Sakurada woke up. Hayakawa, already fully awake and dressed, said, Who is Suta? Huh? Yesterday, you did it twice. Sakura instinctively looked up at the sky. I'm sorry. I drank too much. I did too, and I still love her. So, I was rejected. That's right. But it's not me who's hurting you, is it? Even if you're thinking of someone else, it doesn't mean it hurts me. Does that sound too logical? No. Men tend to be pretty logical, don't they? Sakura reflexively thought, Sota is different. You compared us again. You drank so much, yet you're still full of energy. Next time, let's skip the drinks and go to the gym. Just a former subordinate and his boss. Sounds good. Thank you. I heard. From Natsum. That Soda's father had returned home after a long business trip and was celebrating his retirement with a planned trip. Well then, would you like to come over? There's a hot spring, and I'll book a nice inn for us. A new aquarium just opened nearby too. Natsum's voice brightened as he asked, really? Please let me. I've never been able to do something nice for my parents. Suda reserved a special room at an inn with a breathtaking view of the ocean, while helping to unload the luggage from the car. Are you really not staying over, big brother? I have the shop to manage. Come by tomorrow, okay? What about your days off? I thought you'd be relaxing and surfing more. I hardly get any days off. I surf early in the morning. For Natsum, who worked at a credit union, it was hard to believe. That's too bad. I wanted to have a long chat about love with you. What? I'm all ears. Right now, we're in a long-distance relationship. Isn't that lonely? I've gotten used to it. Besides, I can hang out with friends and travel. Meeting less often means we don't fight as much. Natsum laughed brightly. Soda's heart ached as he wondered why we couldn't have done things that way. The next day, the three of them stopped by Ramel on their way back from sightseeing. Upon realizing they were Soda's family, the staff came by one after another to greet them properly. What a lovely shop, his mother said. It feels like a place from that picture book you used to love. Do you remember? That book is still at home. His mother smiled. If you have someone you'd like to introduce, feel free to bring them along. Is that okay? Do you have someone? Not right now, but I don't know. If you can, please bring them. My father nodded silently. There was only one person I wanted to walk with along that row of flowering dogwoods. Ramel smoothly found its path. For years after opening, it launched a second cafe featuring a surf brand select shop. Goods designed by Soda became the talk of the town, drawing long lines every weekend. Soda, the list of applicants for the summer event has come in. Soda, could you take a look at the prototype cups I ordered from the pottery artist? Young talent was blossoming. New shops were sprouting up nearby. And more shop owners were gathering to uplift the town together. Time flew by like a breeze. The cup Soda prepared for Sakura remained unused for 14 years. Even now, the laminated pearl-colored card is adorned with houseplants. To Soda. Surpassing Sakura's age from back then, I now understand things for the first time. The pain of not being able to meet. The sorrow of parting, and the joy of being touched, if all of it is real. Soda was young. Somewhere deep down, he thought he could experience such love again, believing that an even more wonderful love was waiting for him. That person let go of my hand, fully aware of everything, so that I could learn to fly. The meaning of that day, when you knelt beside me and hugged me, whispering, "It's okay." Admitting that I love him finally calmed the feelings that had nowhere to settle. At the same time, it felt like I had fallen straight into a manhole, and everything in front of me went dark. Before I knew it, a long time had passed since I left that room and since I last contacted him. I know there's nothing I can do, but I can't help but feel the urge to do something. At the end of this summer, Ramel decided to leave it to the new manager. To open a new cafe in that city where he is. To go back home. The name of the new cafe is Cafe Tono. Eternal. If I could brew Sakura's favorite coffee at a place he casually stopped by. And then, Suda arrived in the city where he once lived with Sakura. I couldn't reach out in advance. I was too scared to confirm. Sakura might no longer be in that room. He might be with someone else. I might have forgotten about an old lover with whom I only spent half a year. A childlike version of myself that has never even said I love you. Still, would he smile and say, "It's been a while"? The concourse in front of the station had been renovated, and the fast food places had changed. The unfamiliar buildings in a town that should feel nostalgic made Sota uneasy. The length of 15 years. On that winter day, I walked along the wet road from the melting snow, now choosing the shade to escape the strong sunlight. As I turned the corner, that old apartment building was just as it had been. Suddenly, I remembered something while standing in front of the apartment. "Sakura-san, do you have a match or a lighter?" Sota asked, opening the drawer he was told about. Inside, there was a lighter and a pack of cigarettes with the seal broken. Sota said nothing, but when he opened the drawer the next day, it was already gone. It was just that simple. But because of that, Sota couldn't help but feel terrified to press the elevator button. The grandmother approached, ringing the bell hanging from her walker. "It's hot, isn't it?" With that, she opened the elevator doors for Sota. "Hello." Sota's throat was dry, and he couldn't find his voice. They stepped into the elevator together. His hand trembled as he pressed the button for the 7th floor. The old elevator creaked as it carried Sota upward. The voice announcing 7th floor sounded just as it always had. In front of room 707. With a heart full of hope, Sota reached for the intercom. It was Saturday at 11 in the morning. In the air-conditioned room, Sakura was vacuuming. "Is someone here?" She felt that way and stopped the vacuum. She placed her hand on the doorknob. Just before Sota pressed the intercom, the door swung open. "Sota." Sota was taken aback. How did you know?" The door closed behind Sota. "I just know." Sakura said this and pulled Sota into a tight embrace. Before Sota could even take off his shoes. Strongly. "That hurts, Zuma." Their time together began to flow once more. On the wrinkled sheets, Sakura buried his face in the nape of Sota's neck and said, "You've changed your perfume." It was a woody, smoky scent. "It smells nice." A new Sota. Sota couldn't believe that Sakura was touching him. "Aren't you going to ask me what I've been up to? With Sota right here?" "Saku, what about Yuma? Did I just make a mistake?" "That's not something. A punishment." With that, Sakura gave him an exquisite kiss. Sota closed his eyes, lost in the lingering sensation of the kiss. Why did I think I could live without this kiss? I'm such a fool. Sakura felt tears welling up and covered Sota's eyes with one hand. "Sota, you've gotten better at kissing." "That's a lie." "A lie." "A lie? Really?" "There's a photo on the bookshelf in the bedroom. A picture of the two of them taken at a photo studio long ago. The two of them, still young, stand side by side with shy smiles." "Hayata? Are you already crying?" "Yuma. I just took that photo out." "Did you think it had been on display all this time?" "Yeah. I couldn't sleep with it around, so I sealed it away with a powerful talisman." "A talisman?" "A photo of my grandchild." "That's definitely powerful." "Did you throw it away, Hayata?" Hayata couldn't say anything. Sakura smiled gently and said, "Then, please don't lose this." As he placed a small box in Hayata's hand. Suta alternates his gaze between the box and Sakura. "Can I open it?" He slowly unties the slender blue ribbon, taking his time. Sakura accepts the unraveled ribbon. Their eyes meet. Suta can't look away. Sakura doesn't shy away. Neither of them even smiles. Sakura places his hand over Suta's. "I'm going to open it." Platinum cradling the gentle curve of star sand. They're matching. When did this happen? There's a date on it. Suda holds the ring up to the light to see through it. That Christmas back then, why? Because the gift was that Hayata could go anywhere. Even then, Hayata kept crying. Did you know? Yeah. I place my hand over Hayata's heart and say, I was so happy because you cried for so long. Just like now. You fill my world. That ordinary Saturday. When I opened the door, there was Hayata. Until then, life had felt like a smooth, mirror-like surface, but suddenly it seemed like a ship racing towards the waterfall of death. The light and roar of that torrent overwhelmed Sakura. I never even thought about the finiteness of life. At that moment, the door suddenly opened, and there you were, looking surprised. I was hugged so tightly it felt like my chest might burst. I call your name, still unfamiliar to me. How long has every part of my heart and body been longing for this moment? Every cell is being reborn. After a long journey to reach the answer that was there from the very beginning. I take your hand once more. It's not that everything has remained unchanged. I can understand you a little better now, something I couldn't grasp back then. Yuma. The opening of Café Tono in that city never came to be. Because Sakura was appointed as the branch manager in Singapore. Soda, what should we do? Then, Soda smiled and said, we're going to Singapore. Sounds good? Is that okay? What about Tono? Without you, Tono has no meaning. A few days later. Today is quite a feast, Sakura said. Really? A hamburger with demi-glace sauce, topped with cheese and a soft-boiled egg. Minestrone. Classic potato salad. All of Sakura's favorites. Since we're at it, should we open a bottle of wine? Sakura said. That night, Suta moved close to the edge of Sakura's pillow and pressed his forehead against the top of Sakura's spine. After a long while, Suta spoke in a voice that was as gentle as he could make it. Is it okay if I hold you? He sensed Sakura's breath catch. Suta kissed that spine with a solemnity like a sacred ritual. Sakura returned the embrace just slightly, wrapping his arms around Suta. He couldn't tell whose neck was burning with heat. Suta recalled the time he was held by the cold window of Ramel during construction. How far they had come since then. I love you, Yuma. Sakura surrendered everything. He was opening up. Does it hurt? Sakura intertwined his fingers with Suta's and held on tightly. In Sakura's room, on Sakura's bed. The sound of clothes rustling and breaths mingling. A voice calling an unspoken name mixed in with the breaths. One trembled with the joy of love, while the other began to understand the fear of being loved for the first time. In the midst of that excitement, Suta wondered why, despite only wanting to say I love you, he felt so wanton and greedy. Meanwhile, he kept the secret of seeing 6 ones lined up on the digital clock by the bedside. Suta floated between the afterglow and dreams. Suta, I'm sorry. He heard that voice and jumped up. Huh? His heart nearly stopped, thinking he had done something irreversible. Oh, no, that's not it. That said, Sakura gently kissed him. I'm sorry for not listening to you until now, Suta. Even though Suta wasn't crying, his cheeks were wet. Sakura's face was too dark to see. What's wrong? What are you talking about? Suta cupped Sakurai's face with both hands. Sakurai let him do it. I'm sorry for not asking what you've been doing over there, Suta. Such a thing. The kiss tasted of tears. Thank you for coming back. I'll tell you everything from now on. We have plenty of time. The two simply held each other, melting into one another. They spent 8 years together in Singapore until Sakurai reached retirement. Suda also got involved with several restaurants and worked busily. After Sakurai's retirement, they decided to move to Australia together. Gold Coast. A dream destination for surfers around the world. Are you really sure? Suda asked. Sakura took Suda's hand. Yes. Let's buy a house by the sea. So, please marry me. The wedding was held in a small church in Australia. Sakura was much more enthusiastic about it than Suda. On a sunny day, white seabirds perched on the roof of the white church nestled among the trees. Sakura wore a black tuxedo, while Suda donned a light gray one, holding a large bouquet of Casablanca lilies. The cheerful voices of Mika, Hibiki, Mizuki and their grandson Takuma filled the air. Suda's parents and Natsume's couple were also present. Congratulations, Yu-chan. Mika. After the ceremony, Mika and Sakura embraced tightly. Mika gently patted Sakura's back, soothing him. The embrace was so warm that Hibiki and Suda exchanged dry smiles. Suda thought that while this ceremony was certainly for them, it was also for Mika. The elementary school student Takuma wrote in his homework diary. My grandpa married Suda-kun. Which left the teacher bewildered. Their house in the Gold Coast was a mansion with green lawns and 2 guest bedrooms. After honing his culinary skills in Singapore, Suda finally realized his dream of opening Bistro Tono, 10 years behind schedule. Bistro Tono was always bustling with customers. A piano was delivered to Tono. One of the regulars had gifted them an old piano. Are you plotting something? Sakura asked, and Suda couldn't help but grin. Sakura didn't like playing in front of others. But in the end, Sakura played the piano at Tono. In the early evening or late at night, when only regular customers remain, Suda calls out, "Hey," and without a hint of annoyance. Sakura plays the song that Suda must be wanting to hear at that moment. And Suda leans against the counter, tilting his glass, looking at Sakura as if he were the only person in the world. Everything felt like a dream, Suda thought. Then one day, Sakura said, "Suda, don't you want a yacht?" A yacht? Well, I dream about it, but they're really expensive. I'll buy one for you. Let's go see it together next time. Do you really have that kind of money? I haven't really spent much, so. The boat, far more beautiful than Suda had imagined, was named Solmiya by Sakura. Both Sakura and Suda disliked the cold Christmas because it reminded them of the past. Christmas in Singapore and the Gold Coast was just right for the two of them, almost too hot. The Santa here looks a lot like you, Suda. In Australia, where Christmas comes in summer, Santa rides the waves on a surfboard. Back then, I wanted to catch up to Yuma and become a cool adult quickly. I never thought a wish like that would come true from a place like this. And Suda laughed at his hair, which had turned white and thin much earlier than Sakura's. Soda is getting better and better. Takuma, Sakurako's grandson, became a high school student and started living together for his study abroad. Mizuki called Takuma on a video call. How's it over there? Takuma answered curtly, like a typical teenage boy. The house is big. There are 2 dogs, Garby and Ronnie. The ocean is nearby. He replied in a rather indifferent tone. Are Grandpa and Grandma doing well? They're so lovey-dovey it's a bit much. Mizuki burst into laughter. In reality, the two of them didn't spend that much time together during the day. Early in the morning, Soda would prepare a very lavish breakfast. After eating that, he would immediately go surfing. And when he returned, he would take a shower before heading to Tono. He would come back late at night. Sakurako handled most of the household chores, walked Garby and Ronnie, went shopping or to the gym, and sometimes went to the movies. Other than that, he would either trade stocks on the computer, read, or play the piano. He would eat at Tono either for lunch or dinner. And for the rest, he would settle for a simple pasta or sandwich. When Tono is off, Suda goes out with his yacht friends. If Takuma is there, he takes him along. Is Grandpa not coming? Yuma gets seasick, apparently. Suda laughed at that. Even with the ocean around, he swims at the gym. On the inside of Suda's left arm, there was a tattoo that read Solmia. During his time living in this house, Takuma learned English and other subjects, as well as stock trading from Sakura. From Suda, he learned surfing, sailing, and how to make potato salad. Takuma pointed at the tattoo on Suda's arm. This is the name of a boat, right? What does it mean? When he asked, Suda grinned. Yuma, why don't you tell him? Then, without a hint of embarrassment, Sakura smoothly replied. Suda, you are my son. Sakura goes to the entrance to greet Suda when he returns. Suda tilted his head slightly and made Sakura take off his sunglasses. Sakura removed his sunglasses with both hands. He then pulled Suda into his arms and kissed him, saying, "Welcome back." Suda lifted his downcast eyes and broke into a smile. Sakura smiled back. When Takuma saw that for the first time, he truly felt he was in a foreign land. One night, while Takuma was getting help with his studies, Sakura suddenly stood up and said, "I'm back." Soon after, Suda really did come back. That kind of thing happened often. How did you know? When Takuma asked, Sakura laughed and said, I just know. At home, whenever Sakura started playing the piano, Suda would always fall asleep right away. That day was no different. Sakura was playing the piano. It was quiet, a little sad, like slowly sinking into a deep blue sea. When the piece ended, Takuma asked what it was called. The title? With that, Sakurai remained silent. Then, Suda, who had his eyes closed on the sofa, said, It's to Suda. Is that so? Well, Yuma played it just for me, didn't he? So it's to Suda. But, saying that, Sakurai shrugged his shoulders. So, it's improvised then? Not exactly improvised, but... Can you play it one more time? I want to record it. Sleeping to Yuma's piano is the most comforting. Suda said that and closed his eyes again. Takuma, unsure of the kanji, decided to write it in Romaji for the recording. To Suda. On a winter night, when the stars were beautiful, Mika passed away. By the time I realized that Hibi was taking a longer bath than usual, Miki had already lost her breath. Sakura and Suta rushed to the funeral. It was a beautiful face in death that certainly didn't look 80 years old. As Hibi fell apart from the sudden loss of his wife, Sakura stood by his side, offering support. Mourning Miki's death, Suda was reminded of the bond between Miki, Hibi, and Sakura that he didn't know existed. Sakura was 73, and Suda was 60. Cancer was found in Sakura when he was 76. Although he underwent surgery immediately, it was discovered 6 months later that it had metastasized throughout his body. He was given a prognosis of 6 months to live, as no further surgery could be performed. Suda suggested returning to Japan. There might have been different treatment options available there. However, Sakura stubbornly refused. I can't bear the thought of something happening to me and not being able to contact you. Suta. Moreover, having lost his parents to cancer, Sakura didn't want to undergo any aggressive life-prolonging treatments. Suda decided to leave Tono in someone else's hands for a while and take a slow break. They went out together to various places. Such outings had been rare until now. They even took a hot air balloon ride, just before dawn over the Gold Coast. The balloon gently lifted them up into the sky. Suda was overjoyed, but Sakura's legs were trembling. Are you scared? Suda laughed. No. Sakura replied, but his hand, resting on top of Suda's, was cold and shaking. Yet, strangely, Sakura's heart felt clear. And he truly thought, as long as Soda is here, I'm not afraid of anything. The horizon and the sea line softly blend into the sky, forming a gentle arc. Stars twinkle in the deep blue sky of the west, while the dawn across the sea changes its expression moment by moment. It's amazing, Yuma. This is what every day, every morning is like. Sakura was captivated by the way the dawn's sparkle grew in Soda's eyes. Soda looked up and said, "It feels like I'm being drawn into the sky." Until 4 months before his passing, life continued as it always had. Up until 3 months ago, they would occasionally take walks by the seaside together. A month and a half ago, Mizuki, Hibiki, and Takuma came to visit. Being mindful of the thin Sakura, they drank tea and quickly excused themselves. That day was the last time Sakura changed and spent time in the living room. After that, Soda would bring meals to the bed and peel fruit beside him. 3 weeks ago, he could no longer eat anything. He had to be hospitalized, and Mizuki stayed with him, taking turns to keep him company. It had become almost a week since he had been sleeping. 2 days ago, the doctor told me. Once the medication is administered, he won't be able to speak anymore. I don't mind, Suda said. After that, Suda knelt beside Sakura, his hand resting on Sakura's cheek, and cried endlessly. No matter how much Mizuki insisted on taking over, or how much he urged him to eat or drink, Suda would be forcibly pulled away, only to return and weep silently beside Sakura again. Suda knew that Sakura could hear him. That as long as Suda was crying, Sakura would be happy. This warm hand. Suda couldn't hear Sakura's voice. But as long as he had the warmth of this hand, that was enough. Yuma, are you happy? I am happy. The moment came, and the heat gradually drained from that hand. And even when it finally turned cold, Suda did not leave that place. After that, Mizuki and the nurse pulled Suda away. But Suda had no memory of it. Suda fell asleep as if he had fainted, receiving in 4 in a different bed. Mizuki took care of the subsequent arrangements. The funeral was 3 days later. And a few of Sakura's former colleagues traveled from afar to attend. They say Suda performed his duties as the chief mourner admirably. But he still had no memory of it. Sakura was 78, and Suda was 65. Sakura's ashes remained by the piano in Suda's home until Suda passed away. When was the last time someone called my name? But in the end, it doesn't really matter. As long as my name was called once. It's okay if I forget that voice. I don't need memories anymore. Because nothing is truly separated anymore. After Sakura's death, Suda's tears had dried up, and he no longer cried. Returning to Tono, I spent peaceful days with my yacht friends. Takuma would often come by with friends or his girlfriend, sailing and sipping cocktails around Soda. It wasn't that Soda didn't have his own faint romances. There was one time when something like this happened. While Soda was away, Takuma came to the house. Upon entering, he heard the sound of a piano. Is someone here? An unfamiliar man was playing Sakura's piano. He turned at the sound of the door, his eyes as blue as the sea. Soda, are you living with that guy now? Nicola? Oh, I heard he got kicked out of his room. Unable to hold back, Takuma asked. Are you two lovers? Then, Soda replied in a tone strikingly similar to Sakura's. Well, it depends on the definition. You should play the piano every now and then. Takuma remained silent, still unable to accept it. Are you getting angry for Yuma? How kind of you. Takuma spoke in a voice filled with unexpected irritation. Then why? Suda quietly placed his hand over his heart and said. To me, everything good in this world is Yuma. So he is a part of Yuma too. My heartbeat is for Yuma. Ah, Takuma understood. Toa no, the ship, the piano, Takuma himself. The sea, the sky, even the sun. All of it was, to Suta, the very essence of Sakura. My everything, Yuma. No one could ever take their place. Suta stood in the shop until he was 75. Passing away at 78, just like Sakura. The grand funeral was organized by Toa no's successor. Friends from not only Australia but also Japan and Singapore gathered, reminiscing and sharing stories. Even those who met for the first time quickly became close, expanding the circle of people. In his will, he requested that a single card be placed in the coffin. A laminated, weathered card. Takuma looked at the card. Then, he asked the staff to play a recording of Sakura's piano from long ago at the ceremony. To Sota. It was quiet and sorrowful, as if sinking into a dark blue sea. Sleeping to Yuma's piano is the most comforting. Of Sota's inheritance, Natsume received the financial assets. Mizuki took the house in Gold Coast, and Takuma inherited the yacht, Solmia. Natsume donated a portion of that inheritance to LGBTQ+ organizations. Every year, a party called Sota's Day is held in Tono. The ashes of the two were scattered. With Mizuki releasing half into the sea of Gold Coast and the other half at various destinations around the world during their travels. Into the morning sea, the rainy sea, and the evening sea. The two merged and disappeared among the waves. You and I fill the world. In his lifetime, my grandfather played a piano that felt so refreshing. And when I asked what piece it was, he said, birds and fish. What's that? Dinner, he laughed. When I told Sota about it. Even if we are reborn as a bird and a fish, it's a promise that we will definitely meet again. Did we make such a promise? No, we didn't. I didn't ask my grandfather, so I don't know the real answer. The end. BR/. Thank you very much to those who have read this far. This is my first work. If you could share your thoughts, it would mean a lot to me. In the future, there will be spin-offs, prequels, and sequels. Sakuya and Sota will appear again. Please continue to read. A story about Sota and his lover during the time they were apart. Ramels. Lover. A. Ref equals https://kakuyomu.jp/works/2912051598241298465 https://kakuyomu.jp/works/2912051598241298465/A. 465/A. This is the story of Hayata from Natsume-chan's perspective during his adolescence. The Unicorn and Me. A. Ref equals https://kakuyomu.jp/works/2912051598847175937 https://kakuyomu.jp/works/29120515988471759 937/A. This is the story of Sakura and his ex-wife. In the case of M. This is the story of Sakura after breaking up with Mika. Sakura. May today be a wonderful day. Asarisa Watani. 938/A.